go to create something only you would enjoy. This may not look like a soundstage, but don't tell that to the person who lives here. This dining area and the rest of this apartment is where our sitcom is being shot. 12 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Basically what I am is everything. I'm not only the producer, the director, the editor, the stunt coordinator, script supervisor, property department, wardrobe person, post-production executive, studio executive, construction foreman, and transportation chief. But at the same time, I'm the director of photography, the cameraman, the key grip, and the best boy.
Not to mention being the writer and actor as well.
Not to mention being the writer and actor as well. It's a lot of work.
Is it ever? His days start at 6 a.m. where he goes over the list for that day's shooting. At 7, he walks outside his room and checks to see if everything he discussed the day before is in place.
It's a perfect example of how much work this is. Yesterday I decided it'd be fun if I had this on the kitchen table for a scene in today's episode. Well, thinking it'd be funny to have an old phaser and actually having an old phaser are two different things. By wanting this for today, I'd send my production assistant.
That would be you.
Right, that'd be me. I'd stop production and send me out and try to find one of these things.
How long did that take?
At least 2 hours. You can imagine how mad I was as a director, knowing I wasn't going to be there yesterday to rehearse.
That had to eat you up inside.
It did. But as a producer, I was able to calm myself down and convince me that the laughs that would come from this phaser would be worth my being late for rehearsal.
And were they?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out today.
When I heard what Matt was doing, I thought, man, my brother's lost it.
In early test screenings, I found that me alone in a room wasn't enough. And that's a tough reality to face. I could sit alone in a room by myself for hours and be fine. But when it comes to watching that on television, you need more. Take a look at all the other sitcoms you see on TV. There are other characters, people to play off of. Fonzie had Richie Cunningham. Vinnie Barbarino had Freddie Boom Boom Washington. In the early version of my show, there was just me, which at the time made perfect sense. If it's a show about me, why not just have me in it? But the more I watched, I found that it was becoming a show about me being in a room talking to myself. It just wasn't funny. It wasn't working. I'd say something out loud, and no one would respond. And for the first couple of shows, it was bad.
How bad was it? Matt let us take a look at one of his early episodes.
Unbelievable. Have you read this?
And that's when he had a revelation.
Why not create a second character? Someone who I could trust. Someone I could work with creatively, who believed in the project as much as I believed in it.
Someone like himself.
Hey, thanks for leaving me that tuna. I had some for lunch. That wasn't tuna. There was a new dynamic. I sat down and screened the show again, and I just went nuts. I loved it. That's when I knew I was onto something. Stick around. We'll be right back after these messages.
Stick around. We'll be right back after these messages.
The sets are not exactly big budget. There's only one face in the cast. And the scripts, a lot of times they just write themselves. But he's not going to let that stop him.
You talking to me? No, I'm talking to myself.
It's been 2 months now, and for the guy who's been working tirelessly trying to create his own show, it's been a heck of a ride.
Maybe I was too excited. After I added the second Matt, I brought in a third me. And I just kept adding and adding until it got out of control. I felt like I was watching a story on human cloning, and I needed to make a change.
I'd been working in the same place for about 7 years and fallen into a rut. This opportunity to play myself in a series opened up, and it was something I always wanted to do.
Initially, I only brought Keith on because out of all the people I approached, he was the only one who agreed to quit his job and come on board.
I remember when I was 10, I made a little home movie with some of my friends. I didn't have a single line. All I did was fall down in the snow. But even back then, I knew that acting was where my heart was. I never pursued it past that one moment.
I wasn't worried about the acting. He had the experience of playing the role of my brother, which was more important to me.
Did you read this? You mean the article about the 2 kids and the elephant? Right away, something jumped out at me as being problematic, and I knew I wouldn't be able to do my best work without bringing it up with Matt. I had a serious problem with the show taking place entirely in the apartment.
Keep in mind that I envisioned this whole show taking place indoors, like they used to do with Barney Miller. Our characters could leave, but you never see where they went. As soon as Keith talked about location shoots, I said no, because I'm worried about losing production time trying something new. But then Keith reinforced that that's what this is all about, experimenting.
Right away, it became more open.
Of course, by going outside, we were able to get more scenic shots and place our characters in more interesting scenes. But at the same time, we were now becoming more visible and causing a lot of problems with our neighbors.
One afternoon, I tried driving into the garage. Matt was shooting Keith in the driveway. I pulled up, but they were blocking my way, so I honked. Matt gave me one of these and asked if I can wait a minute so he can get this shot because the light was changing or something. I said, look, Spielberg, I don't care what you're doing. You get out of my way or I'm running you over.
Then what happened?
Matt walked over to my car and said,
If you let us get the shot, you can have a role in this week's episode.
so I let them get the shot. I wound up sitting in my car for 40 minutes until they got it right, but it was worth it.
Did you get your part?
Yep, I play a guy sitting in his car for 40 minutes.
Mark is great. He has such an on-screen presence that I try to use him whenever I can. I tend to have him play the extra roles that we have in each episode. Hey, how you doing? How much?
$6.
We wanted to try and use him as himself at first, but found it was funnier if he was like Hitchcock. You never know where or when he's going to turn up in an episode.
Don't be a fool. It'll never work.
I need backup. Now! Teresa. We'll see who the fool is now, Dr. Carter.
Other than Keith, bringing on Mark was the single most important creative decision I made so far. He's been enormously popular, and we only wanted to build on that popularity. Adding additional characters just seemed the most natural step.
From page one, I knew I was part of something that was going to revolutionize the way I look at television for years to come. This is a federal matter now. Move along.
You're messing with the wrong guy.
You know, there's a tremendous family atmosphere on the set. I think that comes a lot from the fact that 60% of the cast is related.
I'm so sleepy.
Well, that's the great thing about the show. Off-screen and on-screen, we're like a family.
You know, they are actually brothers, which, you know, I think that's going to work out well. It comes across on the screen.
You know, what you see on screen is acting. But off-screen, it's actually much of the same.
There's a ton of love. It's a great atmosphere. Honestly, I mean, you know, you hear that all the time about these shows, but this one, it's there. The love's there.
When someone comes up to me on the street and says, hey man, that episode when you play the inmate and you delivered the baby, thanks man. You don't get love like that working in a cubicle.
It's a great working environment. I couldn't be happier. I mean, this is something really special.
I agree, Derek. This is really special. So how far would you go to create something only you would enjoy? I'm Pia Rogers, and this is On the Beat.